On your Friday episode of Locked On Raptors, we bid farewell to a running bit that everyone has definitely loved all season long. It's the farewell episode of Toxic Positivity Friday.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Friday, April the 11th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. Been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 11 seasons on various platforms. You can follow my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram, and you can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server. Link in the description of the podcast. Great place to come hang out, talk ball. Lots of draft talk going on in there, as you might expect, with the lottery just a month and a day away. Come be part of our listener family, would you? You can also go and subscribe to the daily Locked On Raptors newsletter. QR code on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Link in the description of the podcast if you're listening on audio. And if you subscribe between now and April 30th, you'll be entered into a draw for a chance to win a bunch of stuff. A $200 Fanatics gift card, a $300 Game Time gift card, or a $2,500 Best Buy gift card. You know how many Nintendo Switches you could buy with that? Like 4? Yeah, go do it. It's it's very, very cool. So jump on in, support the newsletter, support me, make me feel good, etc., etc. Thank you for stroking my ego. Today's show is brought to you by friends over at Game Time. Down the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And we are off and running here on a Toxic Positivity Friday for the last time this season. Frankly, I'm burnt out on the bit, and we're just going to do regular old Friday once the off season sets in next week. And here to do, I think, a bit of a capper on the season, to run through all the things that made us feel positive, that made us feel warm inside throughout a 30-win, maybe 32-win, fingers crossed, Raptors season, is our pal Chelsea Leite from Raptors HQ, from Locked On Women's Basketball, from SB Nation and WNBA coverage. Chelsea, we're technically co-workers now again. What's up?
Right? Oh, man, running it back as co-workers. That's wild.
Yeah.
Love that.
Thrilled to have you. Thanks for being here. Really looking forward to getting into the stuff we liked about this season. Before we do that, Chelsea, I do have to ask you an important question. Okay. Was this season fun? Did you enjoy this Toronto Raptors season all told? Everyone knows my answer because I'm the positivity goon, but what did you think about this year? Are you a little more level-headed about it? Did you find it sad? Was it better than last year? Was it generally enjoyable to cover for you on a daily basis as the managing editor of a website? What you got?
Yeah, I will say the better than last year thing has been kind of my constant this whole year. Mm-hmm. I'm like, as long as we don't have any lawsuits or criminal activity, I'm good. I think just personally, I've had a good year in terms of my work, and so I think that has just made me more motivated to stay intact with the team. But at the same time, I do think that as a whole, maybe not performance wise, but if when you put all of the pieces together, this has been a decent year when you think about being in a rebuild. There are some teams that you think about and you're just ooh, that's been a decade, that's rough. Or you could be a Dallas Mavericks fan, so it's really
rating on the bell curve of not being the Mavericks is very generous to everybody else.
Exactly. So yeah, that's my take on it. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same. I'm generally going to be a positive person. I'm generally going to be it's not that serious. It's basketball. At the end of the day, they've made actual strides to be better in the future. So that was kind of my idea of success this year, especially when the injuries started piling in at the beginning. But I mean, yeah, I think that, I just think it's been okay. I'm not going to be man, it sucks. I
hate my job. I want the games to be done sooner.
I have
by the way,
basketball. That would be dumb.
Yeah, but there was a general sort of level of joy in the media room on Wednesday when that game was finished in an hour and 57 minutes. It was the classic sports writer thing of, oh baby, we're catching the early train home tonight. Let's go. Yeah. But yeah, I think in general, me too. I think, you come into this season pretty low expectations because, the team said out of the gate, you probably shouldn't have very high expectations. And
Literally.
that goes a long way. The rookies have been super fun. There have been nice pops from all the main guys. Maybe the sort of success of all the main guys as a whole with one another has not been what you want. And, you can kind of get, in your feelings about that if you want. But, they got Brandon Ingram to address that problem. And they seem to have maintained exceptionally high vibe throughout the season, which is not an easy thing to do when you're losing games on
Yeah.
purpose. Ask how the Hornets are doing. They don't seem to be the most happy bunch in the world. All right, Chelsea, we're going to run through. We just have a list of things we liked about this season. We're going to swap tails because it's Friday and I'm tired of it. And this just felt like the easiest way to be all encompassing of the year that was for your Toronto Raptors. I'll give you the floor. Chelsea, what was the first thing that came to your mind as a thing you liked about this Toronto Raptors season? Could be a player performance, could be a single game, could be a single play, could be a general through line story. The world is your oyster as long as the world is confined to 82 games played by the Toronto Raptors basketball team. 80, I guess they haven't played the final two. What you got?
Look, I'm just gonna go for the low hanging fruit here to start
Okay.
off, but the purple court, man.
Yeah.
The purple
Damn good.
court, the purple everything, it's funny that we've gotten to this point, but the fact that I could say, yeah, we're not making the playoffs, but that court is worth it. Have you seen that court?
Mhm.
Everybody that I talked to around the league, whether they, were tapped in or whatever, everyone was like, that's the best court I've ever seen in my entire life. And it just felt good to be on top in some category. Maybe it's not the basketball, but we definitely had the best aesthetic the whole season, which
Mhm.
I'm an aesthetic girl. I mean, it doesn't look like it because I just kind of rolled out of bed, but you know, that mattered to me. I was like, and then they posted the other day, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. Because I assumed they were just gonna chop up that court and sell it to the highest bidder, like they
Mhm.
did,
Mhm.
a few seasons ago. But they were like, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. I'm like, are you keeping the court? Are you keeping the court? You gotta keep the court.
I
So
think
yeah.
if they don't keep the court, and again, I did this on yesterday's show. I called for someone's job and said I shouldn't call for people's jobs, but if they don't keep the court, someone's job should be at least under review. It's so obvious. Everyone loves it. Tyler Parker at the Ringer gave the Raptors the MVP for best jersey design, which was their the jersey that accompanied the court with the Vince Carter logo on it. Not my favorite jersey in the world. I thought their other purple one was just, as a nostalgia play for me, a little better, but hard to argue with a thing that gets some recognition from a national outlet for the Toronto Raptors. It's the jersey, it's the court. It was all beautiful. And yeah, sitting there on the last game of the season on Wednesday at home, looking at the court thinking, this cannot be the last time I see at least an iteration of this court. It would be
Yeah.
foolish. It would be so wrong. I
They
really hope that they weren't just doing bluster with that post. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, next year is the full, we're going purple all the way and getting rid of the red stuff and the chevrons and just kind of
I
tapping back
hope.
into the roots.
Yeah, and if I could just make it about women for a second, I
Please
need
do.
whoever's designing the Toronto Tempo court to just take whatever that honey wood color that they were going for
Oh,
and just
mhm.
take it and go. That it would so well with the purple. Oh, it was beautiful. Anyway, yeah, so I loved the court and yeah, that was definitely I think it added a lot of excitement. Not to say that we were just grabbing at straws this season, but
Mhm.
people wanted to be there for those games. People wanted the cool retro jerseys. People, So in that sense, I feel especially with a rebuilding team, I feel sometimes at the end we all know it's a business and we all know they're going to look at things like ticket sales and merch sales and whatever. And when I mean I don't have the numbers in front of me, but when you lean
Mhm.
into that nostalgic purple thing that everybody seems to like, I'm sure your ticket sales and your whatever go up because people are like, oh, I want, a Scotty Barnes jersey, a retro jersey,
Yeah.
right? Or whoever you just, I'm pretty sure RJ Barrett was probably the highest selling one of those. But yeah, it's just for them, it's also just a good business choice because if you don't have anything else in a rebuild, you have the fact that people want to spend money, which these
Yeah.
days, especially we're nose diving into a recession, it's if people want to spend money on you, dang, like you're doing something right.
I just want our corporate overlords to do things that make me want to spend money and give it to our corporate overlords, right? Like that's
Look,
all I've ever really wanted from our corporate overlords is to give them more of my money, apparently.
I'm
Um,
just a girl, and all I want is to spend my adult money on little pretty treats and little pretty things and little pretty clothes. So, you know
mhm.
what? I will admit that they can influence me. Give me
We're
purple.
all like we're all wired to be part of the machine of capitalism, Chelsea. Let
True.
us be part of the machine and
Yeah,
go purple full time, please. New
yeah,
era of the team. They're hitting the ground running, rebuild, sort of powered through.
yeah.
Be cool in purple next year. It would all look very, very
I
cool and
mean, you
make
can
you
see these
so much
ones
money.
already kind of going with it, so you
Yeah,
still
the
need to.
tempo stuff is fantastic. Really good color scheme. We love it.
Oh,
I wasn't a huge fan of the name. As soon as I saw the color scheme, I'm like, oh, it's great. I'm going to buy all the stuff. Yep, 100%. Let's go. We're coming back to the other side here, Chelsea, and get into a whole bunch of other things that we liked from this Toronto Raptors basketball season. We'll do it in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by friends over at DoorDash. And NBA fans, get ready on this final weekend of the regular season. They swoosh, you save thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. And this can be done for all kinds of things. Perhaps you're like me. I cover the NBA. I watch NBA games at night, and then I don't want to go out and like make lunch the next day. I want to order some lunch in while I write my posts. And Dash Pass and this wonderful deal, if players are scoring 50, can help you get there. Maybe a guy like Malachi Flynn's going to pop off in his final couple games of the season and get a 50 burger, and then you can order 50 burgers the next day and get some money off of those with Dash Pass. Go check him out right now. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. And please tip your drivers well. Damn it. Back at it here with Chelsea Leite from Raptors HQ and Locked On Women's Basketball and SB Nation for her wonderful WNBA coverage over the course of the whole season, and probably a whole bunch of other places soon as the Tempos start playing basketball in a matter of 12 months or so. Holy crap. Very exciting times. All right, Chelsea, more
mhm.
stuff we liked. Let me go. I'll throw it out there.
Okay.
Now that we can look back on this game and recognize it didn't really mean anything when it comes to the draft lottery standings. It didn't affect things one way or another. They're not one game out of sixth or one game, in eighth, having maybe squandered the chance to be seventh in the lottery standings. Can
Okay.
we give it up for the Jacoby Walter winner against the Orlando Magic in that exceptionally stupid basketball game where the Raptors pioneered the art of pulling your starters late in games you don't want to win and giving the floor to your young guys and saying, hey, you want to win it. We're not going to stop you from winning it, but we're going to make it hard for you because you guys are rookies up against the Orlando Magic. Turns out the Orlando Magic didn't want to win that basketball game. Jacoby Walter sure as hell did. He hits the off balance, one-footed three-pointer near the buzzer to win it. That was thrilling. And to me, one of the standout moments of this entire season, kind of emblematic of everything that happened in this season, from the youthful movement of young guys doing cool things to the team kind of going out of its way to try to lose games and failing down the stretch of the season. It was a perfect encapsulation of all that made this season this season. Do you share my fond remembrance now of this very dumb basketball game from early March?
Yeah, it was, yeah, extremely dumb, first of all, which I loved. And like I
Mm-hmm.
think just a testament to like how well the Raptors really did in the draft. I think it's hard to really like in the moment say, "Oh, this was a good draft pick" or not. And now that we're like nearly a year out from the Jacoby, Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, uh Ulrich, I mean, we haven't really, he's kind of a separate thing because he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
But um the fact that like these guys and they love each other so much, like they're so,
Mm-hmm.
like little besties, and they also just like work hard and want to win. And are giving these fun moments to fans in the season and have a lot of like potential and ceiling. Like I was kind of going through the whole Jamal Shed thing the other day, thinking about how he could turn into a decent NBA player. Like he has
Sure.
the foundation to turn into that, and the Raptors saw that, were able to draft him in the second round. I mean, we know this team's history with being able to pick guys out of the second round or undrafted. I mean, Jamison Battle was another one this season too, that they were able to like find. And if any, like if these moments that in the moment we're like, oh, the tank, blah, 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 we're like mad about, I'm like, okay, you're mad about the tank, but like we already have these like pretty decent guys on our team that, are really happy to be here and work hard and are good people, which, not gonna lie, in the NBA is kind of hard. And you're just, it's like, to me, it was like a lot of a symbolism around that, and the play was just like hilarious. Like, or like when you're watching, I don't know if you're the same as me, but when I'm watching a basketball game and a player, like a play is happening and then someone chucks something up and there's that like 1 to 2 second delay and you're just like, that's not going in, like whatever. You're just like, okay, sure. Yeah, it was that moment where I was like, oh, okay, like cool, he's gonna shoot it, they're gonna lose, it'll be whatever, and then boom, does that. And like, I think the best part about these moments, including like that one, the Jamal Shed buzzer beater that ended up not counting,
Yeah.
et cetera, is like they get so happy about it. And like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm just getting old, but when I see these like young 19, 20-year-olds and they're just like so filled with joy and so like open to expressing those like happy and like celebrating each other and just like genuinely really loving each other, like that's just like, to me, is like such a good note on a team. Because like, again, we've said this a few times, when you're losing 50 games in a season, like it's hard to rally around and like truly like still be invested, but like this team did not have a problem with that. And I think that is such a testament to like the culture that they've built. I think Darko's a huge part of that. I'm so pro Darko. In
Oh,
that sense.
don't worry. I have Darko thoughts to get to later
Oh, we will
on
get
this here
to
pod.
Uncle
Yeah.
Darko. Love that man. But yeah, it just like, it's like the basketball play is promising, as well as just like everything else around it. And the fact that you're like, okay, these are year one of these players. They're willing to make these big plays. They're really invested in the team. You can see the progress from beginning to end of the season with a lot of them. And you can see the potential. And to me, that's like the main ticks of like a draft, like assessing a draft pick a year later. So it's funny because I'm saying this, I'm like, maybe I should write about this later. So but
Why do
yes.
we podcast if not to get ideas for posts out into the world and talk them through? I'll agree on every single count, especially the part where you did an impression of tank-pilled Raptors fans. The tank. Really good stuff. Send us in your best impression of pee pants Raptors tank fans. Please do it. Send it to lockedonraptors@gmail.com, an account I have checked once in the last 2 years.
Can I
no
say
idea what's in there. Yeah.
So I have been, now this will be my second full season of managing Raptors HQ, and I know somewhere we have a Raptors HQ email. I have not once attempted to open it. I have not once gone. If Harrison is watching this, I'm sorry, but like Josh was like, "Here's an email," and I was like, "Okay."
Yep. Sure. Yeah. Can't wait to not check that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably just the emails you probably get are probably just a bunch of people doing the voice that you just did, but in email form. So don't worry about it. All right, Chelsea, give me another one. What's another thing you like from this season?
Oh man. Okay, this one's not related to the court
Okay.
part, but shout out Lindsay Dunn for doing carpool karaoke with Jacoby and Jamal. I think one of the good things that comes from being able to cover this team in person, and I mean you're the same, is that you get a lot of these like little moments that you're not necessarily gonna like write a whole story about, but like just kind of show off the true nature of the team. And like, when these guys are at a press conference or on the court, there's a sense of performance because they know they're being watched. There's also these times where they know they're not being watched, and to have those moments where you see them just being like who they are is really nice, and something that I think I really like cherish in my role, is being able to just see those
Totally.
little backstage moments, I guess. And so, yeah, the relationship between those two, Jamal and Jacoby, is just like, it's just really sweet. And like, one anecdote that comes to mind is like, we take the same elevator as the players sometimes when we're leaving
Mhm.
games. And depending on when you're leaving, sometimes you are waiting for an elevator with the team or with the players. And I was standing waiting for an elevator one time, and Jamal was waiting for an elevator as well, but him and Jacoby were leaving together to, I don't know, go wherever they were going.
Mhm.
Um and the guy was calling the elevator for them, and Jamal was like literally shouting down the hallway into the locker room like, Jacoby, Jacoby, the elevator's coming. It was just so like, I was just sitting there like, that's so funny. Like, it's just like, they were just two buddies leaving work together, like going to like do whatever they were gonna do, probably play like 2K or something, like who knows? They're 20-year-old kids, but like,
Mhm.
it's just like seeing those little moments of like that, and like Lindsay's carpool karaoke and like other things where, you know, I think what this team lacked a lot from like the COVID era to this season was that like general camaraderie among the team, and a
Totally.
sense of like us as observers and fans wanting to like root for them as people, and
Mhm.
wanting to like just genuinely love it. Like, I think a big part of being a fan is genuinely like having admiration for your players, not just on the court, like wanting them to win, wanting them to succeed together. And they have that too on the team. So I think that's something this year that is really, I've really felt we've come back to, is that like that thing of like, okay, we aren't just a basketball team that's like, all we want to do is win. All we want to do is win. Blah, 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 and there's no like sense of wanting to win together. I think we're coming back to that now, of like a team culture has
Yeah.
kind of been rebuilt. Wow, rebuilt. We're just rebuilding everything.
Wow, yeah.
Wow.
It's, it is like, again, people will sort of scoff at it and say, "Oh, you can't quantify that. Ooh, ooh, with my glasses on, you can this doesn't matter at all." But
Yeah.
it does. Like, I'm sorry, you work with
Yeah.
a group of dudes for 6 months a year. If you like them, you're probably likely to be better at your job and be happier to be at your job every day. And I think that very much shone through this year. Even to like Scotty Barnes, like the last couple of years, the vibes were rancid. They were awful. They were just like, it was just, the last year of Nick Nurse in particular. Oh my God. And then the first half of last year when everyone is maybe getting traded or maybe not getting traded and all of that, like
Yeah.
clean slate this year. It felt refreshed. It felt like everyone was just like, okay, we're through the sort of turmoil period. We're into our being pals era. And it was great. I think one of my favorite things of the year, you talk about the sort of backstage moments where no one's really watching. One of my favorite things to do, I usually, because of the way the train schedule runs, I'm usually there like very early, just because I'm either there an hour before Darko Rajaković speaks or the train gets in as Darko takes the podium. And so I'm always there very early.
Mhm.
And I always go to watch the warm-ups where the rookie crew typically warms
Mhm.
up together. Jamison Battle, Jacoby Walter, Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, some of the two-way guys sprinkled in over the course of the year. And like just watching those guys work with one another, do shooting competitions, like razz one another, like just good stuff, good, wholesome team basketball fun that I had a whole lot of just enjoyment of just watching. And again, you're not going to write about it. You're just kind of there, just kind of taking it all in and seeing how these guys kind of interact when no one's in the seats. And it's a beautiful thing. Good vibes all around. Chelsea, we're going to come back on the other side, run through a handful of other things we liked about this season, perhaps some Darko talk. We're both Team Darko, plus more coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by our pals over at Game Time. And look, you can't go to Raptors games anymore this year because the schedule is over, but the Toronto Blue Jays, pretty good. Having some fun out there. They're not really hitting any home runs or anything like that, but the pitching's good. They're hitting plenty of singles. And if you want to go see the Blue Jays hit a whole bunch of slap singles, you can go do that with Game Time. My wife and I are going to a game on Monday. Very excited. Guess where I bought my tickets? On Game Time. Guess what I paid? Less than I would have paid somewhere else. Go check them out. They have last minute deals up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You can grab last minute seats for whatever you want. I also get tickets ahead of time for concerts that I know are going to be in town. I always find Game Time is a great place to get cheap seats. I'm going to see MJ Lenderman at Danforth Music Hall coming up in May. Can't wait to do that. Guess where I bought my seats? Once again, on Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Wrapping things up here as Chelsea takes a big sip from a gigantic cup. I have a big cup too.
Let's go, big cup.
Let's go. Was that a Wicked cup? Did you get that from the movie?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just sporting Locked On merch, which is also
wow. I haven't even gotten any of that. Wow.
Oh, this is the special I've been around forever cup. Ha ha ha. See you
I'm
in 8
also
years.
drinking iced coffee out of an old Italian sauce jar, which is like the vibe.
That's great. I don't have any other vessels that I'm currently drinking from. I do have an empty Coke Zero. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I have an empty mug that I probably should wash.
Yeah. I always have like
Kermit the Frog Pez dispenser.
Oh, incredible.
Why? Who knows? Anyway,
yeah. I feel bad for
in the room.
yeah. I sometimes sit next to Louis Zatzman on the Raptors media row, and I just constantly have like 17 drinks at any time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like my entire work, it's just drinks. So I'm like, sorry, Louis, I have too many drinks.
100% the same. I sit next to Kirthika a lot of the times at games, and I have a million drinks, and I'm just waiting for the stats post on how many drinks I've consumed.
Yeah.
How many different kinds of drinks I've consumed in a 2.5 hour period. Not looking forward to it at all, actually. All right, Chelsea, more stuff we like from this season. I'll go with another one. Remember when the Raptors won 8 games in a row in January, punctuated by beating the Boston Celtics in handy fashion at home? Basically the fully healthy Boston Celtics, where Scotty Barnes was a defensive wizard. Jakob Poeltl went 8 of 8 from the field and was incredible. Grady Dick had himself a nice game. Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown were doing the thing off the bench. What a fun time. This also featured 2 incredible Shaq to the Fool moments from Scotty Barnes that did not come back to burn him. The clapping in Jason Tatum's face, only for Tatum to blow by him immediately for what should have been an easy dunk down the lane, only to be stuffed by the rim. Beautiful. And then Scotty picking up a turnover as he celebrated the victory and then booted the ball out of bounds as the clock was winding down. All great stuff. A thrilling basketball game. The games against the Celtics this year, Chelsea, were bizarre. You had the super close to overtime loss where RJ Barrett went nuts early in the season. You get beaten by 50 points on New Year's Eve. And you come back and beat them in a fun game in the middle of January, in the midst of the best stretch the team played all season. A wild ride for Raptors Celtics matchups this year.
You missed
what were your memories of that game?
You missed the one where Neemias Queta went off on.
That's right.
And then Blake was making all of the like Azor's Bakery Cambridge things to me, which was hilarious. Because we're both from.
We love light Portuguese humor on the pod,
right? You gotta,
right?
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Boston Celtics game where they won, I was supposed to be there, but I was sick in bed, which that's annoying. But it was also like so trade deadline stuff happens like February. Obviously, if you cover basketball, you know that that's just a wild time. But then I also, like you've mentioned, cover the WNBA, who had like a historically wild free agency period, which is also the same week as the trade deadline. And I'm just like, that week I was like, do you know when you're just like so in tune with everything going on in basketball that you feel like you're in like
stimulated by all the transactions?
Yeah, and you just feel like your entire world is just talking about these basketball transactions, and then like no one else in the world really cares because like they have normal lives and like normal things to do, and you're just
never once seen the Trade Machine website, and they're very much healthier for it. Yeah,
you're like, oh, second round 2027 WNBA pick, blah. And it's like it's one of those times where you just realize like your life is really weird. And so and then add on the fact that you're like sick with like a cold and like the steam and the whatever's going on that you're trying to like make yourself better. And I just felt like it was like a fever dream. So that's what I remember from that 8-game winning streak, was just like, what's happening in reality on many different levels.
All of the peak of what about the tank of the season as well. Just like can't believe they're winning all these games, these bastards. How dare they win the games in the middle of January when the lottery is 6 months away?
Yeah, exactly.
Insane.
Oh,
Pervs.
yeah.
Pervs, a lot of them. What's another fun thing? Chelsea, give me a couple more.
I mean, we're gonna talk about Darko. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Darko
Talk
because
about
like
Darko.
that guy, he is just like again some of these moments that you're not really gonna write about, but just like that guy. He's so NBA coaches don't really like come out of the locker room like before games very often.
Yeah.
Most home games, Darko takes a good chunk of time before he has to talk to us to like
Mhm.
go out to the court, see how the rookies and the young guys are doing because that's usually when they're playing. Chats with the people who are courtside, says hello to the media. Like Darko's the kind of like I am not very high on the Raptors media totem pole, but like he'll come up to me and be like, "Hey, nice to see you," like, shake my hand kinda thing, like, very
Mhm.
often. I've
Yeah.
seen him like, one time, Doug Smith, he was drinking one of the, like, our generic coffees from the media room, and Darko's kinda giving him a hard time, like, "Oh, that's not real coffee." Cut to 10 minutes later where Darko comes to the podium, hands Doug an espresso from his espresso machine in the locker room, and, like, even, like, the other day when it was the last, home game of the season, Darko came out for a long time, was shaking all of the security's hands, saying, "Thank you for all of your hard work this season. We really
Mhm.
appreciate it." There's one specific security guy that always stands outside their locker room. I saw him, go up to him and just like say, "Thank you so much. I hope you have a great summer." Like all of like just so many things. And I know like next week when we talk to Darko a little bit more, he'll probably and like just has such an appreciation for the city, for the fans, for us as media, for the people who
Mhm.
work in the arena. And like we were talking about team culture, like that stuff really trickles down to the players. Like he leads by example in that
100%.
way.
Yes.
And like the players have always said, like you'll see all these quotes next week when we talk to the players of like, Darko asked me about my family. I've never talked to a coach like in the way that I talked to Darko. He remembered that my, I don't know, mom was sick and asked how she was doing. Just like stuff like that. Like he travels to, players' families' funerals. He let Jamal Shed go to Houston last weekend or go to San Antonio to go
Mhm.
be with the Houston team because they were in the national championship team. Like just stuff like that where he's just like and say what you will about his coaching skills, but I feel like next year is the year to talk about his coaching skills. And these
Mhm.
past 2 years have been him rebuilding the team culture from the top down, from the players, the other coaching staff, how it feels in the arena to be at a game, what fans are doing. Like it's such a whole encompassing thing for him. And he's just so good at setting that culture because he's just so good at leading by example. And he's just like such a likable person.
Yeah. And that's a skill. That's a coaching skill, especially in today's NBA. It's a
Mhm.
younger generation of players. It's an entirely different generation of players than 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it takes, I think, a different level of like emotional and intellectual and just sort of like personal intelligence to guide a team through a season, especially when you're losing, right? Like it's the one thing to, have a team that likes each other when they're winning basketball games, but like I do think it's a pretty revealing thing that the team is this connected, this for one another throughout a season where they've basically said we're trying to lose basketball games. Like, and I don't think how that's anything other than like a grand success on the end of Darko Rajaković for just kind of setting expectations. Like, there's been all this sort of consternation of, oh my God, these guys aren't playing games down the stretch. How are they like? Are they going to be all pissed off about it and all this? Like, no, because Darko's good at like communicating and like making sure everything is out in the open and being transparent and like having open dialogues. He talks a lot
Yeah.
about how they're constantly checking in with these guys about what the plan is, how things are going, why they're doing the things that they're doing. And I'm not sure a lot of other coaches are going ahead and doing that, right? A lot of it's a little cloak and dagger. A lot of it is, hey, like we're in the business of winning and we're doing the coach thing and we're gruff and we have this exterior. Like Darko is like exceptionally easy to root for. And this is not just because he's like nice to the media, though that certainly isn't a bad thing for
It
us,
helped.
especially considering who the last coach was. But it's just like, I don't know. It is. It brings back a lot of the Dwayne Casey vibes for
Yeah,
sure. Like as someone who covered most of the Dwayne Casey era, it's a
yeah,
very similar vibe, but even more kind of in tune with everything beyond just the basketball of it all too. Like
yeah,
he's a special person, I think, and whether that means he's a special coach, We'll have to see next year. I'm excited to see him cook with like an actual team that's trying to be competitive. We'll see how it all goes. And maybe that doesn't carry over when you're trying to be competitive, but maybe it does. And I really hope it does, because rooting for a nice guy is a cool thing. While Ime Udoka gets plaudits for having this team that plays in his image, which, like, is that a good thing? I don't know if it is. If we're talking about just like, the grand scheme of things, I'm very into the idea of just like a good dude being also considered a good coach and having all of these sort of intangible things that make him that, on top of just calling the right out of bounds play, which he does well, by the way. He draws up some really cool stuff. He's even been, I know our pal David Locke, asked a question of Darko when Utah was in town a month ago, just like, you guys run a lot of really good stuff. Like, that was like the way he started the question. It's a thing that gets talked about around the league. It's a thing that's noted. And I do think that Darko getting to work with an actual team that's trying to do actual things on the floor is going to be a really exciting thing to see, because he deserves it. He's a good dude. And it was really cool getting to be around the team this year, just kind of see all the ways in which Darko's just kind of whole vibe seeps into everything to do with the team.
One last thing that I love about Darko. Please. Emmanuel quickly mentioned this a while ago, but when the team is practicing and Darko makes, the team do runs or whatever, him and Jama also do laps around the OVO court. And because his whole thing is, if I'm making you work hard, I have to put my money where my mouth is, and I also have to train hard. So he's like, if you guys have to keep up your conditioning, so do I. And so they run laps. And I just like, that's just it's a testament.
Mm-hmm. Breaking news on the pod to close things out. AJ Lawson, 2-year NBA contract with your Toronto Raptors. Very cool. You'll get a chance to compete in camp. I believe it'll be one of those deals where it's not guaranteed, but if he makes the team and has a good camp, he'll be on the team next year. Very cool for him. Well earned. Was very fun down the stretch of the season. A CEBL man through and through. We love it. A former Guelph Nighthawk, a former guy who had me as the broadcaster of his basketball games, moving on up in the world significantly. Not to say the CBL doesn't rule. It's just I am not good.
Him and I had a laugh the other day. It was funny.
Yeah.
We were walking to each other, and he did the the Ontario Olympic winner gagnon, and I laughed, and he looked at and nobody else, and I laughed, and nobody else was and he looks at me and he goes, they don't know what I'm talking about.
He's home. He is home. AJ Lawson. Good stuff. All right, Chelsea. This was also good stuff. That was kind of the whole point. We were just going to talk about good stuff. I think we did that successfully. Left some stuff on the board, but that's okay. I think we got the broad strokes in pretty good. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there? You got a lot of it.
I mean, Raptors HQ, of course, we're going strong with the off season starting next week. And then the WNBA season literally has already basically started. The draft's on Monday. I'm writing full time the whole WNBA season for SB Nation, for Fansided. And we're going to start incorporating some Toronto Tempo stuff onto Raptors HQ too. So check it out.
We love it. Everyone, go check out all of Chelsea's wonderful work. You can find me and my less wonderful, but still kind of all right work at the newsletter. QR code on the screen, link in the description of the podcast. You can, of course, subscribe, follow, rate, review, tell a friend. Always appreciate it when you support the show, however it is you choose to support the show. And again, you can sign up for the newsletter now between now and April 30th and have a chance to win up to $2,500 from Best Buy to go buy a whole bunch of tech gear for your sports viewing area or your Nintendo Switch playing purposes. Just get yourself like a dozen Switch Pro controllers. You won't regret it. They're the best controller that's ever existed in the history of controllers. Hot controller talk here on Locked On Raptors. We'll be back on Monday to put a bow on the season with the last couple games against the Mavs and Spurs over the weekend, and then it's media day. I guess not media day, locker cleanout day is what we call it, or whatever it is. Next week, we'll obviously get all of the reaction to the season from the whole team there. And thanks for rocking with us. We're only getting started as the offseason figures to be quite interesting with the draft lottery and all that stuff drawing near. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. I am so bad at this. Don't ever sign me to play for your basketball team.